Hello, hello, guys. How are you? Welcome. I'm so glad you are here. For those that haven't met me before, I'm Dr. Latifat. It is such a privilege and honor to be able to chat with you guys. I hope you are doing well. And if you don't know what we're about, this is where we talk about all things money and mindset because we want every single human to have a wealthy life. So I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm glad you're watching or listening. I'm not sure if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast or anywhere else in the world where I am being seen right now. But I hope you guys are doing well. So for this episode today, I wanted to chat with you guys about what I think is going to be important in order for you to be, and us, all of us, to be successful in 2023. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? So here's the deal. I think at this time of the year, everyone talks about, New Year's resolution and all this other stuff. I don't do a New Year's resolution per se. But what I think is going to be important is it's helpful for us to kind of have a year in review of how things went this year, what we did this year, but also now casting our vision to next year. And the reason why I like to look at what happened this year is because there's going to be things that you did right, there's going to be things you did wrong, there's going to be things that worked out exactly how you wanted it. However, there are also going to be things that didn't work out the way that you wanted it. And now, how do you look at the things that you succeeded at and figure out what was the recipe for your success? What are the things that didn't happen the way you wanted it? And why did it happen that way? And I'm not a big fan of, defining things that don't happen based on the outcome that I want as lack of success or failure. I believe that you're either learning or you're growing, right? You're either winning or you're learning, right? It's always for a good reason for the most part, with few exceptions, right? But the key is I want us to look at how we've been successful and see what the recipe was for that and how we may not have created the things we wanted and what may have caused that to happen. And the beauty of it is we get to now learn and take it into the future because that's how you create wisdom. You don't become wiser just because you existed in this world for like something years. You get wiser by actually learning, by looking at what worked, what didn't work, evaluating, figure out how to optimize better. That's how we become wise. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how old you are. I've met lots of crazily wise young people, and I've met some old people that are like, what's going on? I don't understand, right? So the key is this: let's not assume that wisdom happens by just existing. Wisdom is an actual active process that we build by evaluating, assessing, and building forward. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So what am I talking about today? I guess we already started talking about what I'm talking about today, but I want to talk to you guys about what I believe is going to be really important in order for us to be able to succeed over the next year. And this is coming from the perspective of the things that I did that helped me succeed in 2022. So yeah, it's 2022. Now I have to start thinking about what year we in, what year we're going into. So anyways, the bottom line is this. There are many things that helped me in 2022 when it comes to my success. One of the things that I believe was really, really important in helping me have diverse wealth in terms of the life that I have. No perfectionism. My life isn't perfect, but I choose to be intentional about the ways and areas that I want to create wealth in my life. And what helped is this: creating a vision for what I want to create. That is a little bit different from having goals. Your goals are the results of the revisions that you have, of the visions that you have. So, for example, now we're in 2022, and I'm thinking about 2023. The way that I start my year is I start my year with the end in mind. So, what vision do you want to create? Like, if you close your eyes and you think about your life and you think about the different parts of wealth, and when I talk about wealth, it's not just money only. There is money, there is time, there is contributions in terms of giving, whether that's financial or time, right? There is relationship, which could be relationship with you, relationship with your spouse, relationship with your kids, if you have them, relationship with your work, with your patients, with your clients, with your employers, with your employees, right? So those are all part of wealth building. Vacation. What kind of vacation? Like, what kind of vacation do you want? Do you want to go? And you don't have to have like the micro details, but you could say, you know what, we want to do one international travel and like 3 local travels, or we want to do like a travel quarter, like whatever it is. Like, think about the different parts of wealth of your life. Your faith is also important. That is, if that's something that you do. I'm a Christian, my faith is important to me. And so if I'm trying to create expansion of my wealth, that is an important core principle and an important component of that. Giving, like I mentioned earlier, is also important, right? And the reason why I say this is a lot of times when we're living our lives, we're kind of like taking steps forward and figuring out whatever happens, happens. I don't know, I'll try it out and see, right? And what happens is that we end up just like shooting darts in the world without any targets in mind. But when you have a vision that is created from a place of what are the things that I desire to see in my life this time, December 31st, 2023. If I'm sitting down around a fire by myself or with my spouse or my family, whether you like fire, whether you like by the ocean with a glass of champagne, what would we have created in 2023, or what would our lives look like in 2023 that would make us just go, oh, that was so good, right? So that is your vision. And again, I want you to make sure you're expanding this to the different areas of life that is not just about like work, exercise, weight, and income only, because that is not enough to create the expansion of wealth in your life. It has to be all those other things that I just talked about right now, okay? So that's what I want you to keep in mind. And then based on those visions, ask yourself, what are the goals that we would need to hit to create that vision? So whether that is like, okay, I want to be able to give this, like that's a vision. It would be nice to have that. What are the key actions that I need to take in order to be able to accomplish that? Right? And then now step back and say, what kind of thoughts would I need to have in order to create that? If you have a thought of life sucks, it's not going to be good, nobody wants to pay me anyway, that's not going to help you create the amazing year that you want to create. But if you're like, okay, what are the thoughts that I could choose? Which is one, maybe I am success. I am going to lean into audacity. I am going to lean into being brave. This is going to be my courageous year, right? Because that goal that you have in terms of like the thoughts you want to have is going to be what now becomes your North Star that you want to go into, right? So, for example, this year, 2022, one of my main things is audacity. And oh my goodness, like, it's like I never ran out of opportunities to be audacious, which is like, okay, whose podcast do I want to be on? I'm going to be audacious and ask. Who do I want to help? What communities do I want to be a part of? I'm going to be audacious about asking for access. Like, who do I want to create? Like, what do I want to create? For some of you guys that may not know, I run a program, the Money Fit MD Money School for Badass Women Physicians, which is called MSB. And this was a community that I've had now. Wasn't really a community. It was a program that I had started about 2 years, almost 2 years ago. And initially started with 8 weeks long programs where I taught the basics of personal finance and added layers of coaching to it to create like a 3D effects in people's lives. And then last year, because one of the things in my vision, or last year, like 2022, one of the things in my vision was to help more humans and help more women thrive financially. And in order, because of the vision that I had, I now stepped back. And in order to have that vision, it meant that I needed to take some actions. It meant that I needed to create more of a community where it's not just a program that's like 8 weeks, but more of a community that is expansive and lasts for longer. So as a result of that, I created the MSB community, which in 2022 was when people joined, they become grandmothered in to this lifetime access as long as the program exists. In 2023, it is going to be changing, right? But the point that I'm passing across is that one of the reasons why I did that was because I wanted women physicians to be able to create wealthy lives for themselves. And the only reason why I went and created that structure was because of my vision. It was my plan was to affect and effect more women. And I knew that in order to do that, it would have to take longer than 8 weeks with me. It would have to be taken unearthing some of the stuff they've been taught since childhood, the assumptions they've had about themselves, about money. And what I saw was amazing, which was when we were able to help women do that, and then they got the education on top of it, they were able to create some amazing stuff. And so now as I celebrate 2022, I'm not only celebrating it for myself, but I get to celebrate it for the humans that have had a pleasure and an honor of impacting in this year. Does that make sense? So when we create visions, we're not even exactly sure how it's going to pan out, because I didn't know how that was going to look. But when we create the vision, then we get to fuel the picture in by painting the picture in based on the other stuff that happens in the year. Does that make sense? And the same idea is like, even in terms of giving, like every year, our giving is what actually affects what we're going to earn. We decide what we were going to earn based on what we choose to give. Because if I want to give X amount of dollars, I know that I want to be able to fund that. And how do I fund that? It's by, it causes me to like force appreciate my income in order for me to be able to create that. Maybe I should make another video about how to force appreciate your income, or stay tuned. Follow this podcast, because y'all gonna be hearing a lot of crazy stuff coming after this podcast in a good way, because my goal literally is I want you all to be transformed. I want 2023 to become one of the best years for not just me, but for all of us. And the way we're going to create that is not by waiting to see what the economy shows, it's by having a vision. And yes, our goals and our actions may change as the economy changes and things change around us. You know, we may have to pivot in ways that we've had to do over the last 3 years. But ultimately, though, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a vision that is expansive and is going to create wealth for you, if you don't have goals based on that vision, if you don't decide what thoughts or North Star thoughts you're going to have going into 2023, you're just going to find yourself back where you are now next year. And that's not going to be good, because the goal that I have is that we'll all sit down around a fire, enjoying together, toasting to each other, even if it's virtually, to celebrate all the amazing stuff we've done in the year. So this episode, I want you to actually sit down and do that work. In fact, depending on when you listen to this, I'm hosting or would have hosted already a workshop for women physicians on how to create their own wealthy life vision plan for 2023. And vision board stuff usually sounds super fancy, sounds like stuck up, sounds sterile. Mine was none of that. If you know me, I don't do all that kind of sterile stuff. But the key is I want you to be able to grow and have. And the way you do that is by creating a vision. So go to this website, moneyfitmd.com/vision, FISION. If it's already passed by the time this podcast goes live, you can go there to access a replay so that you can also watch it regardless of whether it's January or February or March or April or whatever, so that you can also create a vision for yourself. Because my commitment to y'all in 2023 is I want us to have the best year ever. Like, what would it look like if every year is our best year ever? And listen, doesn't mean every year is going to be perfect. Last year, 2021, was one of the worst in my entire life, right? We had some losses, some difficult stuff happening, but also was still one of the best. Like, both of those can coexist together, where there could be loss and it could still be a great year, right? And so just know that when I'm talking about the best year, doesn't mean that things are not going to happen. Things will happen, right? That's life. But the key, though, is all of that can happen and we can still have the best year at the same time. And that is my wish for you. That's my intent for myself. And I hope that you're going to be joining us along in creating this. So if you're a woman physician, and you're like, I want 2023 to be the best year ever. I want it to be the year that I go from wishing to executing, where I build my money, I build my mindset, I set things up in a way that makes me positioned to succeed and live the life that I want. Then you probably want to check out our money school. It's not for everybody. It's our money coaching school for badass women physicians. If you go on my website, moneyfitmd.com, go to the Work With Me page. You can schedule a call with someone in our team to help you figure out if this is the right group for you. It is not for everybody. I don't want you to go on there if it's not for you. But if you're like, Latifat, it is time. It is my year. I'm not going to wait on the sidelines anymore. I want to be toasting at the end of 2023, celebrating the amazingness we've created. Then you probably want to check it out. So anyways, it's been such a pleasure as always. I want you to leave us a review. If this has helped you, let us know how and if what we're doing here is adding value to your life. And I also want to challenge you to share with other humans in your life as well. We want to bring the knowledge, the wisdom, the gospel of healthy money and wealthy life to all the humans in the world. And you, my dear, are a part of making that happen. So thank you for listening. Always a pleasure. And cheers to a healthy, wealthy, joyful 2023. All right, bye-bye.